I transmigrated into the role of a cannon fodder supporting character in a romantic comedy novel. According to the plot, I was supposed to drug the female lead, only to get 2 ribs broken by the male lead who arrived to save her. But when I opened the private room door, the female lead, Yvonne Wilson, who should have been there, was nowhere in sight. Instead, her brother Yvonne Wilson lounged on the sofa, casually swirling the spiked drink in his hand. Hearing the door open, his gaze locked onto me. Then he tilted his head back and drained the glass, smiling as he asked, "Not going to run?" The moment I heard those words, I bolted. But in my panic, I tripped over a table corner and crashed to my knees by the entrance. My scalp prickled as his crisp footsteps approached. Trembling violently, I scrambled up. Just as my fingers brushed the door handle, a warm chest pressed against my shuddering back. Strong arms encircled my waist, gently yet inexorably tightening. Ethan lifted and pinned me against the door, rendering me immobile. The air thickened until I could practically feel his gaze raking over my exposed neck like a predator studying cornered prey. Goosebumps erupted across my skin as I stammered, "Ethan, it's me, Finn. What's happening?" His scorching breath ghosted over my neck, lips barely grazing the skin as he sighed contentedly. Even with our fingers interlaced, I kept clawing at the door handle. With desperate hope, I twisted it, only to find the door remained firmly shut no matter how hard I pulled. "What's wrong?" Ethan's liquor-tinged chuckle sent electric currents through me. My heart pounded as he nibbled my earlobe, knee pressing between my thighs while murmuring like a lover, "What do you think, Finn?" Me, a mere plot device character who tried to drug the female lead, ended up getting pinned by her brother instead. After a night of rolling around, I ached everywhere as I fumbled with my phone. The text glared back at me. "Come to Newcastle immediately. Room 2061. Urgent." Recipient: Ethan. My entire body froze. In my first attempt at villainy, I'd sent the message to the wrong person. Face contorting, I collapsed into the bathtub. After hiding for a week, I reluctantly met Ethan. Let's be clear, in this romantic comedy, I'm just the trashy rich kid antagonist whose sole purpose is to drug the female lead for the male hero's grand entrance. If Yvonne Wilson, current head of the Wilson family, decided to retaliate against being drugged, let's just say my death would be creatively arranged. A shiver ran through me. Suddenly, a lemon-scented jacket draped over my shoulders. Before I could react, Ethan's silk tie blinded me. "Be good," he murmured, guiding me upstairs. When the blindfold lifted, I nearly fainted. "Why aren't you going in?" Ethan's honeyed tone dripped danger as his hand slid from my shoulder to my waist, thumb pressing suggestively against my lower back. The doorplate clearly showed 2061. Memories of that night flooded back, making my skin prickle with remembered heat. Ethan remained expressionless, giving nothing away. Thank God I'd used a burner phone. As a notorious party boy, I could claim I just happened to be at the club. If I denied everything, technically I was the victim here, the one who got taken advantage of. When Yvonne Wilson was furious, he ended up sleeping with a man. What could he possibly do to me anyway? As my mind raced, a sudden knock interrupted us. Ethan let out a low hum. A staff member entered with a crystal-clear gimlet, placing it respectfully on the table. The drink shimmered with intoxicating fragrance, except the undissolved pills still floated inside. I jolted upright. "Ethan, I just remembered something urgent." Before I could move, his hand clamped on my shoulder, yanking me back against his chest. His chin rested on my shoulder as he chuckled darkly. "Running so soon, Finn?" "Ethan, that drink?" My voice trembled with unshed tears. "Drink? It's for you. Problem?" His tone remained casual while spinning the glass, his other hand forcing my gaze upward. Our eyes met, and my knees nearly buckled. He knew. He absolutely knew. When I stayed silent, Ethan sighed theatrically. The glass tilted toward my lips. If this went down, I'd never walk out of here. Desperation shattered my pride. Tears welled up, lashes glistening as I pleaded mutely. His Adam's apple bobbed. Long fingers traced my lower lip, smearing the tear tracks. "Brother, I'm sorry," I whimpered, sucking his fingertips in supplication. "Please, mercy." Ethan withdrew his glistening fingers, amusement crinkling his eyes. Tears. Finn? Brave enough to drug someone, yet trembling like a leaf? His gentle tone contradicted the menace. "Now explain. Unless—" He tilted the glass, ice cubes clinking. "You need motivation. I love you." The cold rim pressed against my mouth as I blurted the lie. Everyone knew Ethan Wilson's reputation, ruthlessly protective. If he discovered I'd meant this aphrodisiac for his sister Yvonne, he'd feed me tenfold and have a bunch of guys take turns with me. Better he thinks this was for him, at least my death might be dignified. "Oh?" Ethan stilled. In one motion, he pinned my wrists overhead. His frozen stare peeled layers off my soul before softening. "Finn loves me? Why yes," I choked out. "I thought, if I could just have one night." Fresh tears sold the act. "I'm disgusting." "I know." His grip loosened. "Ah, I see." His voice was filled with satisfaction as he gently put down his wineglass. His long fingers wiped away the teardrops on my lashes. Those smiling eyes locked with mine until I blushed and had to look away. "I hadn't planned to progress this fast," Ethan Wilson murmured, pulling my flushed face against his chest. His lips brushed against my earlobe, and his voice became deeper with a dangerous sweetness. "Don't let me catch you lying, sweetheart." I could only nod desperately. All rational thoughts scattered as he swept me into his arms. My pounding heart drowned out the sound of his footsteps as he carried me towards the VIP lounge. Surviving was one thing. Suddenly having a boyfriend? That made things complicated. A month later, I gave up all resistance and was completely tamed. "Sleep a little longer, darling." Ethan adjusted his tie and then kissed my eyelids. "I bought cat ears and a collar with bells. Will you wear them tonight?" I rolled over, hiding my burning ears in the pillow. His chuckle warmed my ear. "Not your style? Should I order everything from the wish list instead? Pick whatever toys you like. Kitten. Everything?" I flipped back and quickly put my hands to protect my backside. His serious expression made me whimper. "Not healed yet, Ethan." What did you call me?" That glint in his eyes became predatory. Blushing deeply, I forced out, "Elder brother." Ethan's pupils dilated. His thumb slowly circled my earlobe. "Troublesome." He groaned into my neck, and his breath was hot against my skin. "Now I don't want to go to work. Someone give me back the refined gentleman from before." I still remember our first meeting under the gloomy storm clouds. As a first-time task executor, the system gave me 3 months to adjust. That's how I found myself in black, quietly appearing at Mr. Wilson's funeral. In the crowd, my eyes locked on the man holding an umbrella for Yvonne Wilson. The raindrops darkened the shoulders of his charcoal trench coat. Yet Ethan stood calmly, a pillar of dignity protecting his weeping sister. When Yvonne collapsed against him, his embrace was steady while the rain formed a silver curtain around them. Later, I slipped a handkerchief into Ethan's pocket, never imagining our paths would cross again so soon, especially not in the middle of a bar brawl with flying beer bottles and shattered glass. "Finn, over here." It took me a long time to spot that cerulean-haired head in the chaos. The crowd pressed in as I made my way through, barely seated before someone shoved a drink into my hand. Blake Harrison had his arm draped around some delicate girl, tossing peanuts into his mouth with a lazy smirk. "Don't get wasted," he warned. "We're hitting up another spot later." His crew of troublemakers made me suspect our next destination wouldn't be anywhere respectable. I dodged the clingy arm of the girl next to me, offering a polite smile. She scanned me head to toe before rolling her eyes dramatically. "What a waste," she sneered. "A guy this hot turning out gay." Before I could explain, Blake suddenly shot up, eyes blazing as he stared across the room. "There's that bastard who stole my girl," he growled, cracking his knuckles. Following his glare, I spotted Ethan Wilson effortlessly commanding attention despite the chaos. His black shirt hung open at the collar, pale skin glowing under club lights as he lounged motionless on a sofa. Blake was already charging over with a beer bottle when I choked on my drink. "Goddammit, Ethan just buried his father last week. I barely intercepted the swing, my hands stinging from the impact as I wrestled the bottle away. Our bad. I apologized to Ethan, who merely shook his head irritably. The white wine glass exploded against the wall with crystalline clarity. Blood trickled down Ethan's temple as he rose with dangerous calm, his usual composure replaced by feral intensity. The air turned electric. "You messed with my brother's girl?" Blake's crony challenged. What happened next unfolded in brutal slow motion, Ethan testing the weight of an ashtray before swinging. The sickening crunch of bone meeting metal. By the time security arrived, Blake's friend lay unconscious in a spreading pool of red. Ethan wiped bloodied hands on the groaning man's shirt, his ice-cold gaze sweeping over us like we were gutter trash. My hand trembled, extending a handkerchief. He initially recoiled before noticing something in the fabric pattern, suddenly accepting it with calculated grace. "Appreciated," he murmured, fingers tracing the monogram. During the aftermath negotiations, Blake's father groveled with real estate bribes. Merely a misunderstanding. Ethan smiled diplomatically before turning those lethal eyes on me. "Would you mind escorting me to the hospital?" Feeling rather lightheaded, every head swiveled my direction, Blake's scorching glare branding me traitor. Ethan's arm settled around my shoulders with deceptive gentleness, his taller frame enveloping mine in citrus-scented warmth. "Apologies for the inconvenience," he murmured, breath ghosting my ear. "Though I wonder, won't your girlfriend mind you playing nurse tonight?" At the hospital, Ethan Wilson handed me a bottle of mineral water with apologetic eyes. I waved it off casually. "No worries. It's fine," before unscrewing the cap to wet my throat. For a fleeting moment, I could have sworn Ethan's gaze lingered on my lips several seconds longer than necessary. He averted his eyes smoothly, his voice maintaining its usual calm composure. "As thanks, I'll have my assistant select a skincare set for your girlfriend tomorrow." "Oh no, that's really unnecessary." I stood up hastily. "I don't have a girlfriend. Just helping out a fellow human. That's all." Spotting his approaching assistant, I gestured toward the exit. "Looks like your team's here. I should head out." "Interesting." Ethan raised an eyebrow, an amused smile playing on his lips. "It's freezing tonight. Let my driver take you home." As he spoke, he draped his black wool coat over my shoulders, enveloping me in warmth, carrying faint citrus notes and the residual heat from his body. Having planned to drink earlier, I'd left my car at home. With taxis scarce at this hour, I accepted. When I clicked the seatbelt into place, I noticed Ethan leaning against the car window with an unlit cigarette between his lips, watching me through lowered lashes. Our eyes met through the glass. His features softened into that signature heart, fluttering smile as he tapped his phone screen. "Let's exchange contacts, Finn." And so began the unlikely friendship between me, the accidental accomplice, and the head of the Wilson family. Though our worlds rarely intersected professionally, we maintained sporadic contact. There was that time I found him slumped over a bar after client negotiations, cheeks flushed from overindulgence. Buying him hangover pills from the convenience store, I drove him home while loosening his suffocating necktie. "You've got to play smarter with alcohol, Ethan," I chided, adjusting his collar. "Never learned the water-switching trick?" Ethan slowly opened those unfairly long lashes, his whiskey-warm eyes holding mine in the dim backseat. "Finn." His voice dropped to that velvety register that did strange things to my pulse. "You seem quite experienced." I launched into explaining client entertainment tactics until he unexpectedly rested his forehead against my shoulder. His breath tickled my neck as he murmured, "Clever boy," before adding with sudden gravity, "Some toasts can't be avoided." Through Blake's gossip, I'd heard about the viper pit Ethan navigated daily. With Mr. Wilson, deceased, recently buried, opportunistic relatives circled like vultures waiting for the young heir's misstep. Part of me understood the weight pressing on those broad shoulders, the same shoulders that had stood resolute in the funeral rain. "If you ever need someone in your corner." The words tumbled out before I could stop them. "Even just to take a drink for you?" I swallowed under his intense gaze. "Having an extra person around might help?" The silence stretched until Ethan finally spoke. Voice raw. By my side, whenever I call. When I nodded, his lips curved in that faint smile that launched 1,000 boardroom conquests. In that case, he said, tracing the car window's fogged edge, there's precisely one vacancy I need filled. First occurrence replacements. Yvonne Wilson, Jiang Yuan. Ethan Wilson, Jiang Sherlin. Finn Carter, Zhong Yu. Tristan Bennett, Tang Sheng. Wilson family, Jiang family. Process text. What? I immediately straightened up. I don't need you covering for me at the bar. But the man's eyes flickered with faint light. You have to tell me when to stop. Can our little Finn handle this? He arched an eyebrow with gentle amusement. Dazzled by his smile, I nodded before realizing it. With Ethan Wilson's capabilities, surely he could stabilize the situation before I returned to reality? Strangely, Ethan never specified what I needed to do. He only gradually started inviting me out for golf and horseback riding. He showed endless patience. He never got angry even when I'd panic on horseback and clutch his neck in a panic. Such a scaredy cat. He'd chuckle, lifting me off the saddle and ruffling my hair affectionately. Want to ride together first? The situation might have developed nicely if only I hadn't accidentally drunk that cocktail, thus becoming his boyfriend. Sighing, I slumped deeper into the couch cushions. Warning. Warning. Detected storyline anomaly. Mission updated. Host must pursue Yvonne Wilson within the specified timeframe to provoke the male lead's sense of crisis. The system's mechanical voice shattered my reverie. In the original plot, Yvonne had relentlessly chased her brother's friend Tristan Bennett since high school graduation and was repeatedly rejected with the just a sister excuse. The turning point came when this cannon fodder character, me, nearly drugged her, finally making Tristan realize his feelings. But since I missed the crucial drug administering moment, Tristan remains oblivious, derailing the main romance. Thus, I've been promoted from cannon fodder to the official supporting male lead. Wait, if I pursue Yvonne now, what about Ethan Wilson? System, say something. If Ethan discovers I'm two-timing, he'll skin me alive. Calm down. I swallowed hard and forced myself to analyze the mission. The system requires me to start pursuing the sister tomorrow until the male lead confesses. So breaking up with the brother today should work, right? Fumbling for my phone, I opened the messaging app. The contact labeled hubby gave me momentary pause, but thoughts of the $2 million bonus in the real world steeled my resolve. Ethan, I don't think this is working. Let's end it here. Too blunt? I considered rewording when Ethan's call flashed on the screen. Startled, I dropped the phone between the bed frame and the wall. By the time I fished it out, the call had disconnected. Our breakup message now glaringly occupied the chat history. Ethan showed no response. He usually returns by 8 p.m. Checking the time, I threw essentials into a duffel bag and hailed a cab back to my apartment within 10 minutes. Not that I feared Ethan's persistence. I literally can't imagine him begging. My real concern? If he sees me again and realizes how I tricked him initially, let's just say I know exactly what's on his Amazon wishlist: various handcuffs and chains. Post-breakup, this ex better play dead. And my pursuit of Yvonne must stay completely off his radar. Yet the courtship can't be too subtle either. How else to pressure Tristan? Problem is, Tristan's Ethan's close friend, sprawling on the couch with a grape between my teeth. I groaned at the impossible balancing act. The Wilson family drama just upgraded to the highest level of crisis. Ah, whatever. The road will unfold when the cart gets to the mountain. I should focus on getting closer to Yvonne Wilson. Ethan Wilson was handsome and athletic. The swarm of admirers flocking to him could drown someone like me 100 times over. He probably didn't even register my existence. A whole afternoon had passed without him sparing a single word in reply. Steeling myself, I grabbed my phone to search. How to pursue a girl. How to chase someone boldly yet subtly. Hours of fruitless browsing later, I resorted to binge reading 2 melancholic tales of secret crushes. Epiphany struck. The next day, I appeared at Yvonne's university gates clutching fresh white roses. Hi there. Can I ask you out? I smiled. Yvonne Wilson, arms full of books, halted mid-stride. Her confused gaze met mine. But I don't know you. Now you do. I offered the bouquet, leaning closer to whisper, "Help me test something? I've liked someone here for ages." Later at the bar, I mumbled into my oversized cocktail, "I've confessed to her so many times." "Then what?" Yvonne slurred, chin propped on her hand. I lifted tearful eyes. "She says I'm just a brother to her." Yvonne downed her Vesper martini in one gulp before thumping my shoulder. "You're my new best friend. Spill everything." 10 minutes later. Sob, "He only sees me as a sister. Since when did I need brothers? Tristan Bennett's the worst." Yvonne wailed into my sleeve, makeup dissolving into a mess. Then, I wiped her tears. "Why not date me instead? MMMPH. She shook her head, collapsing onto the table. "You're cute. But only Tristan matters." Taking her glass, I explained, "Just pretend. Bring flowers home. See how your Tristan reacts." At the taxi, I photographed the license plate. "Call when you're safe." She curled against the window, miserable. Sighing, I warned, "Never drink with strangers again." Then nodded to the driver. Next morning, Finn Carter. He actually got jealous? Yes. Yvonne's voice crackled through the phone. He kept asking who sent the flowers. And then, her tone turned tentative. "I gave your name. He wants to meet you tomorrow." "Okay? Absolutely my $2 million scheme. For maximum impact." I dressed carefully, soft blue sweater, light jeans, white jasmine bouquet. Finn. Yvonne brightened when I entered the private dining room. "So handsome." Blushing, I handed her the flowers before facing the other man. Classic protagonist material, almond eyes, sculpted jawline, draped in chestnut cashmere. Radiated wealth and magnetism. Another Yvonne Wilson caliber stunner. When our eyes met, the beautiful woman visibly startled for a moment before quickly recovering. "Hello, I'm Tristan Bennett." She greeted me with a practiced smile, gesturing for me to sit. "Yvonne must have mentioned me?" I nodded, taking my seat beside Yvonne Wilson. "Pleasure." I returned her smile. "I'm Yvonne's boyfriend." Yvonne promptly hooked her arm through mine, her voice dripping honey. "Told you my boyfriend's amazing, didn't I? Finn, right?" Tristan's gaze lingered on me with unsettling intensity. I nodded, feigning bashfulness as I launched into my rehearsed speech. "I've admired Yvonne for years. When I finally confessed my feelings last week, I never dreamed she'd say yes." Yvonne rested her head on my shoulder, her tone wistful. "I used to be so stubborn about certain things. Having Finn in my life showed me there's more possibilities than I imagined." Tristan's smile cooled several degrees. His eyes flicked to where Yvonne's hand gripped my arm before emitting a humorless chuckle. "Finn." Yvonne pressed on dramatically, turning to face me. "Now that you've met Tristan, when will you meet my actual brother?" My stomach dropped. "We'll see," I mumbled, already sensing disaster when the door handle turned behind us. "Reluctant to see me?" Every muscle in my body locked. "Ethan." Yvonne sprang up, abandoning me to rush toward the newcomer. "Weren't you in London? Had to return when I heard about your new boyfriend." Yvonne Wilson shrugged off his suit jacket, draping it over a screen with lethal calmness. His glacial stare swept over me as he took the seat opposite mine. "Care to introduce?" When I stayed silent, Yvonne nervously repeated our fabricated backstory. "So he pursued you." Ethan stirred his soup with clinical precision, the silver spoon clinking against porcelain. The sound transported me to 5 days prior, curled beside him on our couch, debating carpet colors for the penthouse we shared. My hands trembled under the table as his piercing gaze found mine. Tristan stood abruptly. "Yvonne, let's give them privacy." "Go ahead." My voice emerged strangled. "Your brother and I should talk." The moment the door closed, I lunged for Ethan's soup bowl. "Let me pick out the ginger for you." He clicked open his lighter rhythmically before leaning back, arm draping possessively over my chair. "Explain this charade. Finn, are you still my boyfriend? Or—" His pleasant mask shattered, voice dropping to Arctic levels. "My darling sister's fiancé?" When he began unbuckling his belt with deadly calm, I shot up so fast my chair screeched. "You're free to leave," he said flatly, exhaustion etching his features. Guilt twisted my chest. He'd clearly flown back overnight. "Let's get you rested," I pleaded. "My place? In my bathroom." I was demonstrating toiletries when Ethan suddenly pinned me against the tiled wall. The shower burst to life, drenching us both as he growled against my ear. "Start talking." The incident happened abruptly. I couldn't help trembling. Apparently pleased by my reaction, the man chuckled, his exhale brushing against the back of my ear like feathers, causing tingling sensations. "I've wanted to do this since seeing Finn wear that outfit, just as shy as I imagined." He gripped my wrist with one hand while his right knee suddenly pressed between my thighs. I muffled a groan. He thrust upward, his voice hoarse. "Scared?" I nodded hastily, my voice trembling in surrender. "Ethan, I'm scared." "Scared yet dared to mess around behind my back?" Ethan Wilson's voice carried lethal undertones, though his grip loosened slightly. Sensing the restraint easing, I immediately twisted around. Avoiding eye contact, I lowered my head and attempted nonchalant escape. "Ethan, you should shower first. I'll leave now." Ethan yanked my wrist back effortlessly. His gaze swept over my trembling form before settling calmly. "Leaving? We need to settle accounts first." He massaged my wrist rhythmically. "We're not compatible? Just that?" After a deliberate pause, he emitted a suppressed chuckle. "Or that you pursued Yvonne? What? Could drug me yesterday but turned straight overnight?" My lashes lowered silently. Facing his interrogation, I had no defense. Finally stammering, "We're not compatible." What perfect incompatibility. "Finn Carter, I regret it." Ethan sighed, his elegant fingers moving to unbutton his shirt methodically. "I used to spare you from coercion, only to receive just that in return. Now I realize." His gaze turned tender as he bound my hands with his belt, eyes shimmering like spring-fed pools. "I should have dragged you home from the bar that first night and chained you to my bed. Then you'd truly know what kind of man I am." When I realized my voice had gone raw, my hands remained fastened to the headboard, now with silk scarves instead of leather. 2 knotted handkerchiefs, each embroidered with koi fishtails in the corner. My own scarves given to Ethan long ago, so he'd recognized me during our second handkerchief exchange. All this time, he hadn't been calling me Finn, but Little Fish. Cool medicinal bitterness emanated from my bandaged wrists. Surveying the familiar bedroom decor, confusion surfaced for the first time. Was Ethan's interest more than casual? And how long did he plan to keep me here? The bedroom door swung open as Ethan entered carrying Kanji. Awake? His expression neutral. He tested the temperature before offering a spoonful. I turned away pleading, "Ethan, we're truly incompatible. Let me go." The spoon clinked against porcelain as Ethan's demeanor chilled. Examining my scabbed lips, he demanded flatly, "What incompatibility?" What indeed? Truthfully, I couldn't pinpoint specifics. During our initial days before moving into Ethan's penthouse, I'd maintained the original playboy persona, frequenting nightclubs with Blake Harrison's crew after failing my system, assigned task. Finn, Blake now with fire engine red hair, slid me a brimming shot of vodka after his latest dye job. "Hearing you're getting cozy with the Wilson guy lately?" His squint carried newfound menace, residual distrust lingering since I'd stopped him from cracking Ethan's skull that fateful night. My hesitation spoke volumes. Blake shoved the shot glass forward. "Deny it outright and we're good. But if true..." His smirk twisted cruel. "You'll drain every drop." I said they were watching me drink so closely tonight. Turns out they were setting me up here. After being forced to drink several mixed shots, if I downed this huge glass, I wouldn't know where I'd wake up tomorrow. What? Scared to drink? The moment the words fell, several guys who'd been hugging girls and laughing quietly circled around. I put the glass down, making one last attempt. "I told you, that girl was his sister. He didn't steal your..." Crash. Blake Harrison smashed his bottle on the floor, flying shrapnel cutting a bloody gash on my chin. "I'm asking if you fucking teamed up with him, not your goddamn excuses." He grabbed my collar and slammed me onto the couch, glaring hatefully. "Say it yes or no." My already frayed nerves made my head feel like exploding. Sighing, I clenched my fist and swung hard. Fuck you, Blake. You'd hit me over some outsider? Blake's eyes burned crimson as he choked me, fury radiating from him. Blake, why waste words? A companion rolled up his sleeves, shoving the enraged Blake aside. Fists rained down like hail. I lost count of punches taken or thrown. Only remembered the door crashing open, a tall figure sweeping me into his arms, amidst chaotic grunts. Those lips that usually kissed my hair so tenderly now dripped scarlet. When recalling my relationship with Yvonne Wilson, it's not his smiling baby or warming my feet in his embrace that comes first. It's that shocking red in my disoriented vision, the stubborn crimson haunting my dreams since, yet bringing not fear but comfort. Slowly, I wondered, what if I stayed at the source of this safety? But I don't belong here, nor came for Ethan. No matter my mission's outcome, the system will send me back. What should I do? You think this blanket suits you? Ethan's sudden question interrupted my silence. Why ya? Caught between memories and reality, I stammered. He sneered, gripping my chin to pull us nose to nose. Then would you hug this blanket forever? Of course not. So, he said mildly, never mention suitability again unless you want consequences. I protested weakly. That's twisted logic. These are completely different things. His lips corked up without warmth. His panic rose. He suddenly leaned in. Icy fingers trailed down my shirt, pausing over my heart. Finn, he murmured, looking up calmly. I really want to carve open your chest to see if I'm in there. His detached gaze chilled me, softening my voice. Pleaded. Ethan, hesitating, added, I need the bathroom. Cowardice works. Ethan's brow smoothed as he kissed my nose tip. What should you call me? Last night's husky whispers and coerced answers flooded back. Blushing, I whispered, hubby. Good girl. Ethan chuckled adoringly, kissing my forehead. Hubby'll carry you there. I assumed he'd set me down at the door, until his hand slid under my thigh. Shaking my head frantically, I scrambled away with clumsy limbs. Absolutely not. Rejecting me now. He sighed mournfully. You used to be so obedient. Smiling faintly, he added, wait, no, you never were. Never mind. I buried my face in his chest like a martyr facing execution, squeezing my eyes shut and shouting, just do it. Oh? Unexpectedly, Ethan suddenly released me. He chuckled with playful mockery in his tone. I was just helping unzip your dress. Why are you closing your eyes, Finn? His gaze drifted downward meaningfully as he raised an eyebrow suggestively. Need your husband's help with this too? My face burned crimson to the tips of my ears. Since that day, Ethan hadn't stepped foot in the office, choosing to work remotely from my apartment. He insisted on personally attending to my every need, feeding me meals, dressing me, requiring only the slightest movement of my fingers. Verbally, I couldn't outweed him. Physically, I glanced at the iron shackle around my ankle, then mentally compared our physiques before collapsing back onto the bed in defeat. All electronic devices were monitored. Any attempt to contact others would trigger immediate alerts. Trapped in this gilded cage, I could think of no escape. Sighing, I flipped over and queued up a horror movie on my tablet. As the eerie soundtrack intensified, the female protagonist crept into the basement. Suddenly, warm arms encircled me from behind. Scared? Ethan murmured, nuzzling my shoulder. His rose and lychee-scented shampoo enveloped us in the darkened room, creating an intimate cocoon. Before I could respond, a grotesque, mutilated creature lunged at the screen. With a shriek, I buried my face against Ethan's chest. Is it over? My voice trembled. He chuckled, rubbing my back. Not yet. After a pause, I whispered, Now? Now? Ethan's breath tickled my ear. It's crawling onto her back. Instinctively, I clung tighter to his waist. When his shoulders began shaking with suppressed laughter, I shoved him away and kicked the tablet off the bed. I wouldn't be this scared if not for you. My fault entirely, Ethan conceded, still amused, pulling me back into his embrace. He hadn't laughed like this since returning from London. Resting my cheek against his arm, I drifted into thought until... Warning! Warning! Primary mission deviation detected. System unbinding in 24 hours. Husband! I jolted upright, adopting an innocent expression. I'm going stir-crazy here. Could I please go out? I needed to find Yvonne immediately, or else I'd disappear from Ethan's life forever. He glanced up from his tablet with an arched brow. Still have energy to spare? Forcing a smile. Pressed. I just wanted to check on Yvonne. At her name, Ethan's playful demeanor vanished. Closing his tablet, he coldly repeated, "Still have energy?" as his fingers moved to loosen his tie. No, absolutely not. I collapsed backward dramatically. How could I possibly escape within 24 hours to pursue the female lead? Changing tactics, I asked, "What about Tristan?" Ethan adjusted his gold-rimmed glasses with a dangerous smile. Changing preferences again? As he grabbed my ankle, I blurted, "I want him as my brother-in-law." Hovering above me, he countered, "Since when do you have a sister?" Avoiding his gaze, I mumbled, "Your sister is my sister, isn't she?" Ethan Wilson's body suddenly froze. He lifted his gaze, his eyes flickering with unreadable emotions. My carefully maintained facade of calmness finally crumbled under his intense stare until he rolled off the bed with a sigh. The crisp sound of a lighter echoed as his slender fingers lit a cigarette. "Still insist on chasing after her?" he asked casually, exhaling a plume of smoke. When had I ever insisted on pursuing Yvonne? My sleep-deprived mind struggled to catch up after days of confinement. I never wanted to be with her, I answered truthfully. Just the pursuit itself. A low chuckle rumbled in his throat as Ethan leaned closer, his expensive cologne mixing with tobacco smoke. Drugged me to break up. Chased Yvonne without commitment. His amused gaze tracked my coughing fit as he crushed the cigarette. Care to explain, little fox? The fortune teller said I must pursue Yvonne. I improvised, inching closer until my face brushed against his collar. If she stays single, I'll face terrible misfortune. My racing heartbeat betrayed me as I added slyly, "But how could I focus when my husband's beauty leaves me breathless?" This wasn't entirely flattery. Ethan's striking features blended aristocratic elegance with a dangerous edge, exactly my type. That's why I'd spotted him across crowded rooms immediately. Though to keep him, I needed to complete this mission first. Ethan pulled out his phone, dialing with a predator's smile. "Stop dragging your feet," he warned the recipient, "unless you want my wife stealing yours." Before I could process this, his thumb brushed my lower lip. Two choices. His voice dropped an octave. "Be mine forever," or... His fingers trailed down my throat, pausing at the first button. "The second option," I blurted without hesitation. Ethan's laughter warmed my temple as he kissed my forehead. "Then let's go." Kneeling, he fastened my shoes with meticulous care. "Where?" I stammered. His answering smile could melt glaciers. "Ireland. For our wedding." Wait, had the solution been this simple all along? Epilogue. System glitch. The gold band felt foreign on my finger. As the clock struck midnight, marking 24 hours since the ceremony, I finally exhaled. Yvonne Wilson, the story's original heroine, had vanished. Tristan Bennett discovered her absence first, clutching her favorite petit fours. The maid of honor should eat something, he joked, smile fading when calls went unanswered. Seeing only his number blocked, he forced a grin. "Looks like my chase continues. Congratulations, newlyweds." Watching Tristan's broad shoulders disappear into the crowd, I turned to Ethan. "What now?" His lips found my eyelid. "Adults handle their own games. Today, you focus on your husband." Yet, in the following weeks, I compulsively checked for updates, terrified the system would erase me for failed missions. If I disappeared, Ethan would unravel. Though our relationship had its controlling moments, I'd be lying if I said I didn't enjoy certain aspects. My old friends would laugh. Finn Carter, the cheerful social butterfly who somehow ended up in this gilded cage. Yet, as Ethan's arms tightened around me during another security briefing about Yvonne's whereabouts, I couldn't suppress a smile. This particular butterfly had found its perfect keeper. Process text with replacements and translation. If others don't know, it's because I've had no one backing me. Raised in foster homes since childhood, I grew accustomed to wearing smiles and instinctively stepping back in conflicts. I was the grateful adoptee repaying kindness, the model student, the diligent team leader at work, but now, I'm simply an ordinary young man with his lover. My partner reminds me to layer up, drives me to historic villages on rainy days for strolls, and rests his head against my neck to recharge. Though he scolds me for skipping breakfast to laze in bed, a single kiss or nestling into his arms always softens him. Don't ask why a grown man, have mastered coaxing. You'll understand once you have a spouse. Extra 2. Brother Yvonne Wilson has always been my anchor. No matter how violently our parents fought outside, sitting in his room with him let me focus on homework undisturbed. When our parents finalized their divorce and mother asked if I'd join her in London, I dashed behind Yvonne Wilson and declared, "I'm staying with brother." I chose right. Despite father's parade of mistresses and illegitimate children, Ethan shielded me from all ugliness. Under his protection, I grew up untroubled. Finn Carter's breath warms my neck, his lips grazing my skin as he murmurs contentedly. What kind of person could pierce those icy walls to cradle a dazzling but frozen heart? Ethan smiles gently, breaking hearts effortlessly while gliding through this vulgar world, refusing to love anyone. So when the young man appeared before me with white roses, I froze. He was undeniably pure. A mountain spring so clear you'd pause, compelled to explore. How ironic. Ethan flies to London to come out to our mother, only for his boyfriend to pursue me next. I perfected wide-eyed naivety, suggesting, "Let's talk at the pub nearby." Ethan once said the Wilson family discards failures but never tolerates fools. I casually ordered drinks, studying him. Prove you're worthy of his love. Surprisingly, even when I drunkenly collapsed into his arms, he stayed respectful, gently wiping my tears and urging me never to drink with strangers. His gaze held only kindness, as if courting both Wilson siblings bore no hidden agenda. Now I see why Ethan loves him.